Welcome to Zoe Stories. Son borrowed my makeup, so I gave him a makeover. It started as a normal Saturday morning, the kind where you expect to sip coffee in peace, maybe clean the house a little, and lose track of time in a robe and slippers. I never thought that day would crack open a secret I'd buried deep. My name's Claire. I'm 39, a single mother, and a full-time makeup artist who runs a small but thriving beauty studio from home. From the outside, people think I've got everything under control: career, home, parenting. But what they don't see is the delicate balance I maintain, especially when it comes to my 17-year-old son, Jamie. Jamie was always the quiet type. Reserved. Polite. He was never into sports or loud video games. He preferred drawing in a sketch pad, listening to indie music, or hanging out his room, sometimes for hours. I always chalked it up to teenage moodiness or creative temperament. Still, I kept an open line, always making sure he knew he could come to me with anything. Or so I thought. The first odd thing happened 2 weeks ago. I came home early from an appointment and found the bathroom door locked. The house was empty, at least it was supposed to be. I knocked and heard a panicked rustle inside. Moments later, Jamie emerged. His face was flushed, his hair damp, and he muttered something about needing a long shower after gym class. But I noticed it. The faint shimmer of highlighter on his cheekbones. The slight tint on his lips. I didn't say anything then. I wasn't even sure what I'd seen. Maybe the light played tricks. Maybe it was my own professional instinct projecting something that wasn't there. Still, that image haunted me. Because I'd seen that look before, not on Jamie but on clients. On myself. I brushed it off. Gave him space. But a quiet suspicion took root and grew. Then this morning it happened again, but worse. I walked into my studio to prep for a bridal trial, and something felt off. A few brushes were out of place. A lipstick had been capped crookedly. And one of my favorite blush palettes had smudges on it. Not mine, not my client's. Someone had been here. I stood in the middle of the room, holding that palette like it was a clue in a mystery. And in that moment, something inside me clicked, not with anger, but with curiosity. With concern. And then I heard it. A creak from upstairs. Jamie's door. I tiptoed up the stairs and paused just outside his bedroom. The door was slightly ajar. I should have knocked. I know that. But instinct overruled manners. I pushed the door open. What I saw made me stop cold. Jamie stood in front of the mirror. He didn't notice me at first. He was focused, applying mascara with surprising precision, his movements practiced and delicate. His cheeks had a gentle contour. His lips were coated in a soft peach gloss. My blush. My lipstick. My eyeliner. He wore a white tank top and shorts, but his expression wasn't boyish. It was serene. Feminine. Beautiful even. He looked like someone trying to find themselves in the reflection, and maybe, for the first time, finally seeing it. I must have gasped. Because Jamie turned instantly, his face draining of color as he saw me. "Mom," he choked. He tried to rub off the gloss with the back of his hand. I didn't mean, it's not what you think. But I raised my hand gently. "It's okay," I said, soft but firm. He froze. "I'm not mad," I added. I wish you told me." Jamie stared at me, breathing hard. His eyes welled up, but he blinked the tears away before they fell. Always trying to be strong. Always holding it in. "I didn't want you to think I was a freak," he said finally, his voice breaking. That word, freak, shattered something in me. All the times I told him he could be honest, all the moments I thought I was giving him freedom, but never really noticed how scared he was of judgment. Even from me. "You're not a freak," I whispered. "You're brave." He shook his head, retreating from the mirror, from me. But I stepped forward, placing my hands gently on his shoulders. "I see you," I said. "And if this—" I gestured toward his makeup, the soft curl of his lashes, the quiet vulnerability on his face. "If this is you, then I want to help." Jamie looked up. Disbelief warred with hope in his eyes. "You're not angry?" "No," I said, brushing a strand of hair from his face. "But if you're going to borrow my makeup," I smiled gently, "at least let me show you how to do a proper wing." He let out a shaky laugh. One tear escaped, rolling silently down his cheek. And in that moment, I saw him as he truly was, not a son hiding behind a mirror, but a soul aching to be known. That was the beginning. What followed wasn't simple. It wasn't easy, but it changed both our lives forever. Jamie sat stiffly in the chair in my studio, nervously fidgeting with the hem of his shirt. The same studio he had been sneaking into, quietly experimenting with my palettes, my brushes, my world. But now, everything was different. He wasn't alone. I was there, and this time I was helping. I could feel how fragile the moment was. A single wrong word could send him retreating back into his shell, maybe for good. So I approached it like I would with any first-time client, gentle, reassuring, and without judgment. "Ready?" I asked softly, holding a foundation brush like a paintbrush in hand. Jamie gave a tiny nod, still unable to meet my eyes in the mirror. I started slow. Moisturizer first. Primer. Foundation that matched his undertone perfectly. As I worked, I kept the mood light. "You know," I said, "when I started learning makeup, I messed up so many times. There was this one day I walked out of the house with green eyeshadow and red lips. I looked like a Christmas ornament." Jamie gave a faint chuckle. Progress. As I dabbed on concealer, I watched him relax just a little. I noticed the way his breathing slowed, the way he leaned slightly into my touch when I gently blended under his eyes. "You're really good at this," he murmured, his voice a whisper. I smiled. "So are you. I saw your contouring earlier. Not bad at all." That made him blush, adorably. The transformation was gradual, but as the makeup built up, so did his confidence. I used soft browns for his eyeshadow, a hint of shimmer on the lid, and added a slight flick with liquid liner. His lashes were naturally thick, so just a sweep of mascara brought out his eyes. "I always loved the way you did eyeliner," he said quietly. "That caught me off guard." "You noticed?" He nodded. "I used to watch you in the mornings before school. When you were getting ready, you always looked like you had it all together." I paused, then said honestly, "I never really did. But makeup helped me feel like I could fake it." Jamie looked at himself in the mirror. "That's how I feel, too." I felt my throat tighten. There was so much emotion trapped behind those few words. But I kept the moment focused. I added blush, light pink, and a touch of highlighter on his cheekbones. For the lips, I picked something subtle, a rose gloss with just the right shine. And then I stepped back. "There," I said. "Look." Jamie turned to the mirror. At first, he didn't speak. He just stared. I watched his eyes scan his own face, the soft glow, the femininity of his features, the way everything came together. For a long moment, I thought he might cry, but he didn't. Instead, he smiled. Not forced, not shy. A real, radiant smile. "I look pretty," he whispered. "You are pretty," I said gently. He touched his cheek, almost disbelieving. "I never thought I could look like this. I always thought it was just in my head. A fantasy." I leaned in. "Well, now it's real." He looked at me, this time meeting my gaze. There was gratitude there, and fear, and excitement. A tangle of emotions too big for words. "Can I do this again sometime?" he asked. "With you?" I reached for his hand and squeezed it. "Anytime you want." And I meant it. That was the day everything changed between us. It wasn't just about makeup. It was about trust, about identity, about unspoken dreams finally getting a voice. But little did I know, this was only the beginning. Because once Jamie took that first step into this world, he didn't want to stop. And neither did I. A week passed. Jamie had become quieter than usual, but not in the same withdrawn way he used to be. This was something different. He was thinking. I could see it in his eyes, like he was solving a puzzle with no edges. I didn't push him. I waited. Then, one afternoon, while I was folding laundry in the living room, he wandered in, sat across from me, and cleared his throat. "I've been thinking about something," he said, not making eye contact. I folded a t-shirt, nodded. "Okay." He hesitated, fingers twisting together. "Do you think it's wrong? That I liked the way I looked?" that it felt right. I put down the shirt and looked him in the eye. Jamie, it's not wrong to feel like yourself. But I'm not supposed to feel like that, he said, voice cracking. I'm a boy. I'm your son. And yet, when I looked in the mirror, it was like I finally saw someone I've been trying to find for years. There it was.
Raw.
Naked. No more pretending. My heart squeezed. What did you see? I asked softly. He swallowed. I saw me. Or maybe who I want to be. I let the silence hold us, not rushing to fill it. Then he whispered, I've been dreaming about her for so long. Her. He nodded, eyes misty. Not just the makeup. It's more than that. I feel safe. Whole. When I wear the clothes. When I do my hair. I know it sounds stupid, but it's like all the noise in my head stops when I see her in the mirror. It doesn't sound stupid, I said. Not at all. He bit his lip. I've never told anyone this. Not even my best friend. Not even in therapy. I thought if I said it out loud, it would make it too real. But with you, that day when you helped me, I didn't feel ashamed. I felt seen. I reached out and took his hand gently. You were seen. You're always seen, Jamie. And you're loved. No matter what. He let out a shaky breath, blinking back tears. There's something else. I waited.
I've been thinking about a name.
One that feels more like me.
The air changed.
This wasn't just dress up anymore. This was a declaration. What is it? I asked. He hesitated, cheeks pink.
Jade.
I smiled.
Jade.
It's beautiful. He laughed nervously. I wanted something close to Jamie so it's not too hard to get used to. But different enough that I feel different when I hear it. I nodded. Then from now on, whenever you want to be Jade, you'll be Jade. And I'll be right here. He looked up at me, overwhelmed. You really don't think I'm crazy? I shook my head.
No.
I think you're brave. We sat in silence again, hand in hand. After a moment, I asked, would Jade like some new clothes? His eyes lit up. Really? I smiled. Come on. I've got something you'll love. We went upstairs. I opened the back of my closet where I kept a few things from my modeling days. Flowy blouses, skirts with motion, and dresses that could transform the mood of an entire room. Jade reached for a soft lavender dress, the kind that shimmered slightly under the light, with delicate lace around the sleeves. Her fingers lingered on the fabric. Can I try it? Of course. I left the room to give her space. When she emerged 10 minutes later, I felt my breath catch. She stood in front of me, shy and glowing, her eyes bright and unsure. The dress fit her perfectly, not just in size, but in spirit. You're stunning, I whispered. Jade blushed, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. I feel like I belong. Like this is who I'm supposed to be. It was one of the most vulnerable moments I'd ever witnessed. And also one of the most beautiful. That night, we didn't talk about rules or labels. We just existed. I made popcorn, we painted our nails, and watched a cheesy romantic comedy while giggling at the dramatic kisses and sappy music. I didn't know what the future held. I didn't know what Jade would decide, or how the world would treat her. But I knew this. She had taken the first real step toward herself.
And nothing could stop that now.
From that moment forward, Jade came out more often.
At first, it was just at night.
When the world was quiet. When the lights were low and shadows softened the sharp edges of fear. She'd tiptoe into my room wearing one of her favorite outfits, a knit sweater over a pleated skirt, or that lavender dress she adored, and we'd talk. It became our ritual. Some nights we watched old makeover shows and whispered about how we'd restyle the contestants. Other nights, we just sat together, drinking tea, sharing stories, dreaming out loud. And slowly, Jade's closet began to grow. I took her shopping.
Carefully. Quietly.
We started with neutral pieces, leggings, cardigans, a few pairs of flats. But once she saw herself in a soft pink sweater with pearl buttons, something changed in her eyes. Can I have this? She asked, barely above a whisper. I smiled. It's yours. Soon makeup followed. First just a lip gloss. then mascara, then a full eyeshadow palette. She practiced in front of my mirror like a dancer rehearsing steps, careful, focused, learning how to shape her face into the one she dreamed of showing the world. But she still hid when others were around, even the mailman. Until one morning, everything changed. I was in the kitchen pouring coffee when I heard the front door slam open. "Mom, I'm home." My blood froze.
Emma.
2 weeks early. I ran to the hall as Jade came downstairs. She had her hair up in a clip, soft curls brushing her shoulders. She wore high-waisted jeans, a floral blouse, and her favorite glossy lipstick. And standing in the doorway, suitcase in hand, was Emma, staring, speechless. The air turned electric. Jade stopped halfway down the stairs. Her eyes locked onto Emma's. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Emma blinked. "Jamie?" Jade's breath hitched. I stepped in. "Emma, let's sit down." Emma didn't move. She looked at me, then back at Jade. "What's going on?" Jade swallowed. "It's not what you think. Or maybe it is. I don't know." Emma's voice cracked. "Are you joking? Is this some weird experiment? What the hell is going on?" Jade winced like she'd been slapped. I put a hand on Emma's shoulder. "She's not joking. And she's not hurting anyone." "She?" Emma echoed, stunned. Jade's voice barely rose above a whisper. "My name is Jade." Emma laughed, sharp and confused.
What?
"Since when?" Jade stepped off the last stair, hands trembling. "Since forever. I just didn't know how to say it until now." Emma stared at her, eyes scanning the makeup, the clothes, the girl in front of her who was supposed to be her brother. Then she turned to me. "You let this happen?" "No," I said calmly. "I didn't let it happen. I supported it. She's just a kid. She's discovering who she is. And it's taken more courage than you or I have ever needed." Emma turned away, pacing. "So what? He's just a girl now?" "That's it." "She is a girl," I said firmly. "And she's still your sibling." Emma paused. Her hands were shaking. "I need a minute." She stormed upstairs, slamming the door behind her. Jade stood frozen, tears brimming. "I ruined everything," she whispered.
No, sweetheart.
"You didn't." "She hates me." "No," I said, pulling her into a hug. "She's shocked. Give her time. She loves you. She just doesn't know how to understand this yet." Jade cried into my shoulder. That night was quiet. Emma didn't come down for dinner. Jade barely touched her food. But something had shifted. Jade hadn't run. She hadn't hidden. She had stood there, as herself. And that was something. The next morning was heavy, with silence. Jade stayed in her room, curled under the blankets. Her mascara-stained pillow told me she hadn't slept much. I brought her tea, but she didn't say a word, just nodded, eyes red. Downstairs, I found Emma in the kitchen, sitting stiffly at the table, untouched toast in front of her. She looked like a statue, pale, guarded, and cold.
"She's not eating," I said softly.
Emma stared at her plate. "Neither am I." I sat across from her.
"Emma."
"We need to talk." She didn't move. "That's not Jamie. She's still your sibling." Emma finally looked at me, her face twisted with emotion.
"No."
"Jamie was my brother. This is someone else. Someone I don't know." I stayed calm. "Then get to know her. She's been hiding for so long. Don't push her back into a cage." Emma slammed her hand on the table. "This is insane. You just let him dress like a girl? Wear makeup? Call herself, Jade? Like this is normal?" "It's her, Emma," I said gently but firmly. "And yes, because what's abnormal is forcing someone to pretend every single day of their life." Emma's lip trembled. "But it's so sudden."
"No."
"It's not. She's been dying to say something for years. You just never saw it." Emma looked away, blinking hard. "I thought we were close," she whispered. "Jamie and me. We did everything together. We used to watch horror movies and prank the neighbors and draw comics in the attic. He told me everything. She's still that person. That's what you don't see." Emma swallowed. But now it's all dresses and lip gloss and heels. I don't understand this person anymore. She's still your sibling, I said, reaching for her hand. The person who laughed with you, protected you, and worshipped you. She's just finally showing you who she really is. Tears filled Emma's eyes. She blinked quickly, trying to hide them. I feel like I lost someone. I squeezed her hand. You didn't lose a brother. You gained a sister. And she still needs you. Emma bit her lip. I don't know if I can do this. You don't have to get it all at once. Just start by knocking on her door. She didn't respond. But 2 hours later, she did. Jade was still on her bed, hugging a pillow like it was the only thing keeping her from falling apart. When the knock came, she sat up sharply, eyes wide. Emma poked her head in. Hey. Jade blinked. Hi. Emma stepped in slowly, shutting the door behind her. She looked around. At the makeup table, the cute boots lined up near the closet, the Polaroids of Jade in different outfits tacked to the mirror. Jade's face turned red. I was going to take those down, she mumbled. Emma didn't answer. She just sat on the edge of the bed. For a minute, they just sat there. Then Emma whispered, I saw the polka dress in the laundry basket. That's the one I wore for my 15th birthday. Jade nodded. I love that dress. I kept it because I always wanted to know what it felt like to be you. Confident.
Pretty.
Happy. Emma sniffed. You looked better in it than I ever did. That surprised a smile out of Jade. A small one, but real. Emma looked down. Why didn't you tell me? I was scared, Jade said. You're the person I admire most in the world. I didn't want you to hate me. Emma's eyes filled again. I don't hate you. You looked like you did. I was shocked. I didn't expect to come home to this. Jade lowered her head. I understand. Emma reached out, hesitantly, brushing a hand against Jade's. I just missed Jamie. Jade looked at her sister. Jamie's still here. Just with better eyeliner. Emma gave a shaky laugh, wiping her eyes. You look beautiful. Really? Emma nodded. Really? And then, without a word, she pulled Jade into a hug. Jade clung to her like she'd waited her whole life for this exact moment. They cried together. Quiet, gentle sobs muffled by fabric and fear and years of hiding. I watched from the hallway, silently closing the door to give them space. That night, we had dinner together for the first time in days. Emma and Jade shared stories again, about school, about dumb horror movies, about that one time Emma tried to dye her hair and turned it green. There was still tension, but also laughter. Still tears, but also healing a week past. Jade slowly returned to herself, still quiet, still cautious, but no longer broken. Her walks down the hallway were less nervous, her giggles no longer smothered. Emma kept her promise too. She'd knock before entering. She started asking questions, curious, tentative ones. She even complimented Jade's outfits, though it always came with a slightly awkward pause. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. Then one rainy afternoon, Emma barged into the living room with a wicked grin. Okay, so I have an idea, she said, flopping onto the couch. You gave me a heart attack with your whole surprise makeover thing, right? Jade raised an eyebrow. So, I want revenge. I want you to give me a makeover. Like a full glam session. I glanced at Jade. She blinked, caught off guard. You want me to? Emma grinned. You said you loved doing makeup. Show me what you've got, sis. Jade's face lit up.
Deal.
They raced upstairs. I followed slowly, phone in hand in case they needed help, or more accurately, in case I needed to take photos of whatever chaos was about to unfold. Jade's room became a beauty salon. Emma sat cross-legged in front of the mirror, eyes wide as Jade pulled out her most dramatic palettes. Close your eyes, Jade instructed, swirling a brush with theatrical flair. Emma giggled. Am I going to look like a drag queen? Darling, you should be so lucky. They laughed together. Emma tried to sit still but kept peeking in the mirror and ruining Jade's progress. Stop squinting, Jade said, swatting her with a powder brush. I'm just scared I'll look like a clown. You look fabulous, Jade said, stepping back to admire her contour work. You already do. I leaned in the doorway, arms crossed, smiling. Watching them like this made it hard to believe things had ever been cold.
Emma looked at me.
Mom, rate her work when she's done. Be honest.
Oh, I will,
I said. One harsh glare, and I'll deduct points. Jade rolled her eyes. She's going to love it. An hour later, Emma turned to the mirror, jaw-dropping. Oh my God, I look hot. You are hot, Jade said, brushing invisible glitter from Emma's cheek. Now the world knows. Emma smirked. You better watch out. I might steal your makeup now. You can borrow anything, Jade replied. I captured the moment with a photo, Emma posing dramatically while Jade giggled behind her. The sisters were back, only different now. Better. That night, Jade came into my room with a hopeful look. Can I go for a walk? Just around the block. I hesitated. Dressed like this. She was wearing a cute red skater dress, a denim jacket, and sneakers. Her hair was tied back in a messy ponytail, lip gloss catching the light. People know us here, Jade. They might recognize you. I'll wear a mask, she said quickly. Please, Mom. I just want to feel normal for 20 minutes. My heart pounded. I wanted to say yes. I almost did. But my mind raced with what-ifs. What if a neighbor stared too long? What if someone said something cruel? What if Jade broke again? Still, she was standing tall. Not trembling. Not hiding. I slowly nodded.
Just the block. Don't take side streets.
Be home in 20. Jade beamed. Thank you. I handed her a pepper spray from my purse. Just in case. She laughed nervously but took it. Watching her walk down the porch in the fading twilight stirred something in me.
Fear.
But also pride. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Jade. Can I walk a little more? Just around the next block. I stared at the message. And then I heard it. A knock. Not from the front door. From the back. My heart stopped. No one ever knocked there. I moved cautiously, peeking out the curtain. It wasn't Jade. It was Emma. Her eyes wide, breath ragged. I opened the door. Emma? What's wrong?
Jade, she's not answering.
I tried to surprise her by walking with her, but I saw these guys following her. My blood turned to ice. What guys? Teenagers. From the high school, I think. They started whispering. Then they got closer. She looked scared. Where is she now? I lost her. I thought she went toward Miller Street. I didn't wait. I grabbed my keys, shouted at Emma to stay inside, and raced for the car. Panic gripped my chest like a vice. I scanned every sidewalk, every corner, praying I wasn't too late. Then I saw her.
Jade.
Standing near a lamppost, cornered. Her hands clutched her purse. 3 boys stood too close. One laughed. Another reached for her ponytail. Hey! I screamed, pulling over. The boys scattered, startled. I sprinted to her. She was shaking, eyes wide, lip quivering. I'm okay, she whispered, even though she clearly wasn't. I wrapped my arms around her. You're safe. I've got you. She broke down in my arms. The car ride home was silent, except for Jade's quiet sobs and the steady hum of the engine. Emma sat beside her, her hand firmly gripping Jade's. I drove slower than usual, watching the road as the city lights blurred past. Jade was still trembling in my arms, the adrenaline fading and leaving her raw. I'm sorry, she whispered finally, voice breaking. I shouldn't have gone out. I just wanted to feel normal, to be like everyone else. No, Jade, I said softly. You have every right to be out there, to be yourself. Those boys were the ones in the wrong. Emma's eyes darkened with anger. I want to find them, she said fiercely. I can't believe anyone would do that to you. I'm scared, Mom, Jade admitted. I don't want to hide anymore, but what if this happens again? The fear in her voice stabbed my heart. We reached home, and I helped Jade inside. The house felt colder now, the shadows longer. Emma hovered nearby, protective and tense. That night, Jade lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Her fingers nervously traced the edge of her comforter. I could hear her breathing, uneven and shallow. I wanted to say something to calm her, but words felt useless. Instead, I crept to the kitchen and brewed chamomile tea. When I returned, Jade's eyes met mine. "Thank you," she said softly. I sat beside her. "You're stronger than you think." Suddenly, the phone buzzed. I picked it up. A message flashed on the screen from an unknown number. "We're watching. Be careful what you wear next time." My blood ran cold. I showed the message to Emma and Jade. Emma's jaw clenched. "This isn't over." Jade buried her face in her hands. I just wanted to be me. The next days were a blur of whispered phone calls, locked doors, and nervous glances out windows. Emma took to driving Jade everywhere, refusing to let her walk alone. The makeup, the dresses, once symbols of joy and freedom, now felt like targets painted on her back. But Jade's spirit was resilient. One evening, she looked at me with determination. "I'm not hiding. Not anymore." I nodded, heart pounding, because now the real battle was just beginning. The days that followed were a tangled mess of fear and defiance. Jade refused to retreat into the shadows, yet every time she stepped outside dressed as herself, a part of me ached with worry. Emma tried to keep the household calm, but tension hummed beneath every conversation. One late afternoon, Jade stood in front of her bedroom mirror. She was dressed in a soft, lavender dress that hugged her frame just right, her makeup flawless and glowing. Her eyes, however, betrayed the storm inside, equal parts hope and fear. "I'm going to the cafe," she said quietly. Emma's eyes widened.
Now?
"It's getting late." "I have to do this," Jade insisted. "If I don't, they win." Emma hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Just be careful." As Jade walked out the door, I caught her hand. "Remember, I'm here." Her fingers squeezed mine, a fragile lifeline. Outside, the neighborhood looked ordinary, but the weight on Jade's shoulders was anything but. At the cafe, she tried to relax, to lose herself in the gentle buzz of chatter and clinking cups. But every glance from a stranger felt like a spotlight, every whisper a threat. Suddenly, a group of men entered, the same boys who had attacked her days before. My heart stopped as Jade froze, their eyes locking onto her with cruel recognition. She stood taller, though, her voice steady as she said, "I'm not afraid." The boys sneered, but before anything happened, Emma and I burst in, our presence sudden and fierce. "What do you want?" Emma demanded, voice icy. The men exchanged uneasy looks and backed off. We escorted Jade out, the adrenaline surging in waves. Back home, the silence between us was thick. Jade finally whispered, "I want to be free, to live without fear." I reached out, brushing a stray curl from her face. "Then we fight this together." Her eyes met mine, resolute and unyielding. No matter the danger, Jade was ready to claim her truth. The tension had been mounting for days, and tonight it finally snapped. Jade stood in front of the mirror once again, this time with trembling hands and a face etched with exhaustion. The lavender dress hung loosely now, her energy drained, but her resolve unbroken. Emma and I exchanged worried glances from the doorway. The battle outside was one thing, but the one within Jade was harder to bear. Suddenly, the doorbell rang sharply. My heart skipped. Emma whispered, "Who could that be at this hour?" I stepped forward and opened the door. There, standing on the porch, was one of the boys, the leader. His smirk was cruel, eyes cold. "I told you to be careful," he said, voice dripping with menace. Jade stepped forward, defiantly.
Leave. Now.
He laughed, a sound that sent chills down my spine. "You think you're brave? This is just the beginning." Emma moved protectively in front of Jade. "I'm calling the police," I said firmly. The boy's smirk faltered. "We'll see about that." Before I could close the door, he shoved it open and stormed inside. Chaos erupted. Emma grabbed Jade and pulled her into the kitchen, shielding her from the stranger's wild anger. I stood face to face with him, fists clenched. You want to fight?
You've got one.
The confrontation was brutal but brief. Emma's screams echoed through the house as the intruder was forced out. Shaken, Jade collapsed into my arms, tears streaming. I'm so scared, she whispered. I know, I said, holding her tight. But you're not alone. Not ever. The breaking point had been reached, but the fight for Jade's freedom had never felt more urgent. The house was quiet now, but the tension hung heavy like a storm about to break. Jade sat curled on the couch, wrapped in a soft blanket, eyes hollow but fierce. Emma paced the room, her jaw tight, mind racing. I felt torn. How to protect Jade without locking her away from the life she wanted. Then the phone rang, sharp, insistent. Emma answered, face paling. It's the police, she said softly. They found evidence against the boys. They're coming to question us. My heart pounded. This was the reckoning, no turning back. We prepared ourselves, telling our story with raw honesty. Jade's courage shone through every word. When the officers left, Emma turned to Jade. I'm sorry I doubted you, she said quietly. Jade smiled, a fragile but genuine light in her eyes. This isn't the end, Jade whispered. It's a beginning. We knew the road ahead would be hard, but together, we could face anything. In that moment, I realized that the true transformation wasn't just in the clothes or makeup, it was in the strength we found in being ourselves. The days after the police visit were a strange blend of relief and uncertainty. The threat from the boys had lessened, but something else lingered, a question without an answer. Jade sat by the window, watching the world outside with eyes that seemed to see more than just passing cars and strangers. She was both herself and someone new, caught between two worlds. One evening, Emma and I found her standing silently in the hallway, holding a small box, her makeup kit, the one that had started it all. I'm thinking about going out tonight, Jade said softly, voice steady but tinged with doubt. Emma looked at me, searching for reassurance. I nodded. I'm with you. As Jade prepared, slipping into a deep red dress and carefully applying makeup, the tension in the room thickened. Then, just as she adjusted her wig, the front door creaked open. We froze. Footsteps echoed from the porch. A shadow appeared in the doorway. Someone unexpected. Our breaths caught. Who was here now? The screen cut to black. What happens next? Did Jade get caught again? Will Emma stand by her? Drop your guesses in the comments. What would you do if you were in Jade's shoes?